So let's look at some of the homework from 12.2. So the notes videos kind of knocks out a lot of the types of questions you're going to see in the homework. So these are kind of definitions. The first few problems you will work are these kind of short data sets, mean, median, mode, mid-range. So those you'll probably be able to breeze through. My second video, notes video, I did a mean, median, mode with these types of distribution tables. So you might check those out. But the one I found most trickiest was when we have to find the median. And I want to do this one just to give more experience, practice with that. So remember, the median is the middlemost number. That's basically it. The median is the middlemost number. If there's an odd number of things, it's directly in the middle. There's an even number of things, we got to do a little math. So first we need to figure out how many things there are. Okay? That's when we look at the frequency. Right now, I don't particularly care what my x's are. I only care how many times they show up. So I need to add up all of these things. I can do calculation. So I'm going to add 3 plus 3 plus 1 plus 5 plus 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 3 plus 5 plus 1. You might can do that in your head. I'm going to just use the calculator. And anytime I have to calculate several things like this, there's 10 numbers I'm adding up. So anytime I have to do that, I'm probably going to do it twice because I want to make sure I did it correctly. In the notes, I had to do it twice, and then I made the video again because I had messed up. But I got it twice, and it's 40. That means that this is an even number. So it is I'll write it up here, the median is between, so if I have this, I get 20. The calculation said you can do 40 plus 1 over 2. I'll show you that. But the median is between the 20th and 21st score. And the reason I know that is I do 40 plus 1 over 2, and I get 20.5. That means that it's between those two. Okay, 20 and 21st. So I'm going to count to 20, basically. And then let's see where we end up. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. All right, here we just ended on 19th. Okay, 19th. Then my next 5 entries are these 6s. Okay, so 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. That is the 20th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, etc. Let me write that bigger. That's kind of messy. So this means the 20th, 21st, 22nd, got 5 of them, 20, 21st, 23, 2, 23, 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 are all 6. I know this as a 5 because these are 5 entries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're all the same, which is that 6. So that means between the 20th and the 21st, if these are all 6s, my median is still 6. Now, that's the quickest way to work the median. If you don't like that, I did show in the previous video in the notes, you can list all of these out. You will have 40 of them, but you would write 1 3 times, so 1 1 1, 2 2 2, 3, etc. You may have to watch the video a couple times to kind of, or watch this a couple times to fully understand it. But out of all of those using the frequency distribution, I found the median was the weirdest. All right, moving on. Okay. Then I got to something I saw in the note in the homework. We didn't do this in the notes. It's similar. We could take the distribution table. We could create a frequency polygon. I could take this information from the frequency polygon and go back and make a frequency distribution. And then I could end up like writing the data set out. But I'm going to just take it as it is, and I'll show you how I can find the median, the mean, median, mode, and mid-range. Okay, so the mean is the average. Here's what this means. These are my scores, and that's how many times they show up. So I have, notice these are tied down. The 9 and the 16 are tied down, so those are 0. So I'm actually starting at 10. 10, and it shows up twice. Okay. The 11 shows up 3 times. The 12 shows up 5 times. The 13 shows up 6. 14 shows up twice, as well as 15. And then the 16 is back to 0, so I don't have to worry about it. So technically what I'm doing here is the sum of the x's. So let's just see what we get. I'm going to do this a little longer. I'm going to just write down what these little multiplications would be. 12 times 5 is 60. 13 times 6 is 78. 14 and 2 is 28, and 15 and 2 is 30. So if the calculation is easy, like these little multiplications, I might go ahead and do those in my head, because if I don't have to type a lot of stuff in the calculator, I'm less likely to make a mistake. So I'm going to do the calculation again. I got 249 for just adding everything up. And so let's see if I get that again. I'm always going to type it in twice because I want to just make sure I didn't make a mistake. The most efficient way to do this would be to use Excel. And if any of you have to go into business, you probably will have to learn Excel. But since we're not using that on the test, we're not going to do that on here. Okay, so that's the sum. Now I have to divide by the total number of things. So I'm just going to write that down. I'm going to circle that. Now I got to figure out what n is. N is the sum of the frequencies. Okay. Basically what I have in parentheses, but so we got a 2 plus 3. 12 was 5 times. 13 was 6 times. And 14 and 15 were both 2. That's what I get for my n. So 5 plus 5 plus 2. So I got 20. Let me do that again. Got 20 again. So this is my n. So my mean is 249. 249 over 20. 249 divided by 20, and I get a decimal. That gives me 12.45. But in the homework, they want you to round to the nearest tenth. So that's going to be 12.5. Okay. Now, the median is the middle of the scores. Okay. So let's see what happens. That was the mean. Now I'm going to do the median. Actually, I'm going to come back to the median. That one might be a little tricky. So let me jump down to the mode. The mode is probably the most obvious. That's the one who has the highest frequency. And it's easy to see on your graph because it's just that number there, 6. Because, I'm sorry, it's 13, because 13 has a frequency of 6. Okay. And let's go ahead and do the mid-range as well. So since I'm tied down at 16 and 9, that means we're not including those. For my mid-range, I take my highest number, which is 15. I add it to my lowest one, which is 10. And I get 25 over 2, which is 12.5. Okay, so 12.5. All right, so for my median, trying to think of the best way I could do this. But I'm going to just show you what I would probably do if I saw this on the homework with how it's presented. I could write this as a frequency polygon, as a frequency distribution, but I think I might just write out my set and count up to the number. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So 10 shows up twice, 10, 10. 11 shows up 3 times, 11, 11, 11. 12 shows up 5, 12, 12, 12, 12, 12. 13 shows up twice. And 14 shows up twice. Oh, I missed something. What did I miss? No, 13 shows up a lot. 13 shows up 6 times. So I'm going to start up here. 13, 13, 13, 13. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 14 shows up twice. 15 shows up twice. So for my median, since I'm going to be lazy and I just wrote it out like that, and I only had an n of 20, then I'm just going to play that game where I just slice up the pairs. So every time I slice one at the front, I slice one at the back. All right. If I were to slice the 12 and the 13, I'd have nothing left. So I'm going to say, and that's going to happen because my n was 20. I would have to take these. So I'd do 12 plus 13 divided by 2, which is 25 over 2, which I've done that calculation. I got 12.5. Okay, that's about all I would do there. Let's see what else. By the way, 32 is very similar to that. And I think the last one I want to do for this video, I'll double check. The last one I believe we're going to do is number 34, because it has a stem and leaf plot. And I don't know, that might be weird. So here we go. So what does this mean? I mean, what does this tell us? I think it's going to be easier if I just write the data set out, okay? So if you have a stem and leaf plot, this number, well, first of all, each of these numbers are ones places. This is the tens place. So let me write all the numbers I have. I got 44, 41, 46. Actually, let me stop for a second. You may have already noticed. When I do the median, I'm going to need these to be in order. So these are already broken into the, the tens. So let me just put these guys in order. So let's do 41, 41. Okay, then 44, and then 46. Okay, so I'm going to put these in order as I go along. Then here, the zeros mean it ends in zeros. 70, 70. And then 74. And 76. And then I got a 95 and a 99. Okay, that's a small data set. If I make sure, if I count these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I've got them all. I think I want to do that first because now it's going to be easier to see it all. The mean is nothing more than adding these all together, dividing by 9. So my n is 9. So I need to add these up. So x bar, or the mean, is all of these numbers, 41. And again, you probably aren't going to write this out. You're probably just going to do it. All right, I'm running out of space and say dot, dot, dot plus 99. I know that's lazy, but you know what I'm doing. I'm adding 41, 44, 46, 70, 70, that. Okay, divide it by. Again, I want to first write down what the sum is. I call it the summation of x. I want to know what the top is. I want to know what happens if I just add them all up. And I'm going to do that twice. I'm doing it twice to make sure I didn't make a mistake. With so many numbers you have to constantly type in, there's a good chance your finger's going to slip. So first time I got 615. I'm going to do it again. 41, 44, 46, 70, 70, 74. Got it again, so it's probably correct. So my mean is 615 divided by 9. I get this terrible decimal. 68.8. Nope, not 68.333, and that just repeats forever. It wants me to round to the nearest tenth, so I cut it off. 68.333. I cut it off after the first decimal place. Then I look at the number next to it, and since that 3 is smaller, I just do 68. 3. Now, moving on to the median, if I wrote out those 9 numbers, all I got to do is, I'm going to lightly cross these out because I still want to look at the numbers. Well, I'll tell you what, since I'm going to want to look at those for the rest, let me just jump to the mode. For the mode, that's the number that occurs most frequently. That is 70. So the mode is 70. And let me go ahead and do the mid-range, and then I'll do the median. Okay. So the mid-range is going to be the last number, 99, plus the smallest number, which is 41, and then divide that by 2. So I got 140 over 2, which is 7. All right. So let's see what happens when we look for the median. So I'm going to cross these out in pairs. Since my n was 9, it's the middle term, 70. Okay? So you're going to see some of these repeat themselves in the homework. You can use that to your advantage. The more you do with the homework, the more examples you'll see and kind of be able to guess. But I think I lied. There was one more I do want to do, number 40. And then we'll cut the video off. I'm doing this one because it's just kind of weird looking. The question is, we need to find the grade point average. And what they tell you is each letter is assigned a value. A is 4 quality points, B is 3, C is 2, D is 1, and if you fail a class, you get no quality points. Okay? And it tells us that these numbers are assigned to each letter. So in my table here, I only have B and C. So anywhere I have a B, I will put a 3. And anywhere I have that C, I put a 2. In yours, if you had A's, you would put 4. If you had D's, you would put 1. If you had F's, you'd put 0. But what I'm going to do is take that number and multiply it by this number, by the number of credit hours the course is worth. And then I'm going to add those up. So 3 times 5 is 15. I got that again. 3 times 3 is 9, and then 2 times 4 is 8. And I need to add those up. That will be my X bar. Okay, so let's do that. 15 plus 15 plus 9 plus 8 is 47. Okay, so this is my X. I said X bar, I'm sorry. I meant this is my summation of X. This is for my mean. Remember, it was add up all the things, summation of X over N. So that number we found here is our summation of X. And then if you add these numbers together, this is my N. Okay? So N is 5 plus 5 plus 3 plus 4, which is 17. So I'll put that on the bottom. So 47 over 17 is 2.76 for 705, etc. In this example, though, they want the answer rounded to the nearest. So that means 2 decimal places. So I look at the number in the 3rd decimal place, the 4, and that 4 is smaller than 5, so I forget about it, and I just get 2.76. So that'll be the end of the homework we're going to do. Everything else is very similar to the videos about the notes.